What's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Today is Wednesday, June the 17th. Overall markets ended up having a little bit of a pullback yesterday after hitting our all-time highs on the semiconductors. You can see the SMH ended up rejecting basically our previous all-time highs, a little bit of a pullback, ended up filling its full gap towards the downside. SPY and Qs. SPY ended up holding up compared to the semis and other tech names that ended up dropping, pulling back pre, of course, FOMC, which is going to be happening today at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, with that being said, today we're going to do a little bit of a shorter pre-market prep since we do have, of course, that live trading coming up as well today. So got to set up, make sure everything's good for that. But just going to quickly go over what we're looking for coming to market open here today with FOMC, of course. What's up, everyone? Good morning, P1, Victor, B Roots, Kelvin, Andy, Milo. Good morning, Terrence, Deuce, J-Tan, Kevin, Gerald, Lamit, Sheen, Anna, Sinna, Robert, Maria. Yeah, what's up, everyone? Good morning. Hope you guys are doing well. Let's pull up the calendar, which we have currently. As you can see, what we have coming to market open today, we do have the core retail sales, which is going to be at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. The main thing that we have, of course, is the FOMC later. But at 9:30, we have Trump speaking. And then at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the FOMC statement. And then at 2:30, we do have the press conference as well. And then tomorrow, we do have the unemployment claim. So today with FOMC, generally speaking, it's honestly not a day to trade. We primarily don't like to trade pre-FOMC. Not too much usually happens beforehand. You can see yesterday we had a pretty big move towards the downside, at least on the SMH. The overall markets end up pulling back here as well. So we're going to be a little bit more hands off unless we see some sort of A plus setup coming into FOMC. Let's take a look at this number one here on the higher time frame, starting off with the QQQ. So the Qs, as you can see, end up gapping up over the weekend. The next level that we had was, of course, that all-time highs. And you can see overall markets are having a little bit of a reaction, right? Kind of pre-FOM, a little bit of reaction pre-FOMC, not quite hit that all-time highs level. And now you can see the Qs is actually breaking underneath that previous low that we created on Monday. And now we're back inside of this gap here as well. So for the Qs, potentially, if we break underneath that previous day lows, the main thing here is the FOMC statement today. We could see something like this shape up where we come back down, fill the gap, build the higher low here on the daily, and then push back up and towards the highs. If we're looking at the SPY, similar thesis that can be applied here. Right now, we have a key level, which is our 748. We can also mark out that gap fill level, which was a good area. Once we broke back above, you can see nice continuation. Similar thesis, either one, we're going to see like an undercut reclaim continuation back towards the all-time highs. Or now we're going to see a potential pullback to fill the full gap and then look for a higher low bounce off that gap fill for a push towards the upside. If we look at the SMH, we do have to be a little bit cautious. You can see SMH was the leading indice that hit our all-time highs. And as you can see, we're kind of rejecting off of our previous all-time highs, filling the gap back towards the downside. So at this current moment for the SMH, if we're looking at this on the weekly time frame, you can see hit our all-time highs, a little bit of rejection, still bullish, of course, on the daily chart and the higher time frames as well. We do have to be cautious of this kind of potential rejection off our all-time highs. And now we kind of just consolidate a little bit more. If we do want to see a break above reclaim, that would be good for continuation back towards the upside. But for the SPY Qs, we would like to see now, it's going to be that daily gap hold. Plus, of course, we have that previous day lows marked out as well. So at least for today, the key levels that we have coming into today, what we're going to have marked out, let me just kind of refine a couple of the levels. Number one, we have our Monday's lows. Other levels that we can have marked out as well is really the area that we broke down from. In this case, I'm going to mark out our 732. So for today, we're going to keep an eye out on that 732. along with our 738. If we do want to see upside, I like to see it above that 732 or now above our 738 for any sort of pushback towards the upside. If we break underneath that 732, hold underneath, there's potential we could see your previous day lows and potentially even lower here now if the markets do want to stay heavy. As I mentioned, I'm not really expecting too much coming to market open, probably a little bit more consolidation right off the bat with FOMC later. And then maybe like midday, we start seeing like a drop in the markets or a potential move. But at least right off the bat, within the first really 15 minutes to 15 to 30 minutes, I expect a lot more consolidation, of course, with FOMC later today. If we're looking at the SPY chart, similar thesis here. Key levels that we have marked out is going to be that Monday's lows. You can see very key level here on the SPY. Another rejection here in the pre-market as well. The flip back above our 752 will push us all the way back up in towards our previous day highs and above. If we get underneath our pre-market lows, potentially we can see a push down in towards our full gap fill, which is going to be all the way back down in towards that 747 and below. All right, let's go on to some other names here. We'll go on to the futures charts very briefly. Key levels that I have marked out 3050 here on the NQ. As for the ES, right into a key technical level. And then we can also mark out that Monday's lows here as well. But for the overall markets, at least coming to today, we're going to be a lot more neutral. The higher time frame is still bullish, but with yesterday's drop, we're just going to be patient and wait for the FOMC statement most likely later today. Let's go on to the higher time frame charts. As you can see here for Tesla, really just kind of consolidating, not too much is going on. If we look at this on the hourly time frame, key levels that we have marked out is going to be that 412, very key technical level. As you can see, pop yesterday, and now we're still kind of rejecting off this area. So for Tesla, if we do want to see continuation lower, we need it underneath that 404, underneath that previous day lows for a continued push towards the downside. If we're looking at Nvidia, not really too much to talk about on this one, kind of rejecting right off of our 210, which is the exact level we want to see reclaim. If you want to see any sort of push right now, we are rejecting off this 210. We have this very small daily gap towards the downside as well, which we're currently filling on Nvidia. So the key levels that we have marked out is all the way back down into our 207. If we want to see a little bit more weakness underneath our previous day lows, we can see room all the way back down in towards our 203 here on the higher time frames. Let's go on to AMD. AMD, another one that ended up having a nice push up in towards that all-time highs, was not able to close above our all-time highs. And you can see yesterday ended up rejecting off that 540 and filling this gap towards the downside. So a couple names ended up dropping yesterday. We talked about the key levels being that previous all-time highs. If we can maintain above it, we can see that continue push towards the upside. If we break underneath, we could see a potential reversal. The key level for me on AMD yesterday was our 544. We talked about if it does show a little bit more weakness, we can see a push towards the downside. You can see this flip here on AMD underneath that 540. Nice push down in towards that previous low. And then we end up gravitating all the way back down in towards that full gap fill that we created here over the weekend as well. So for AMD, moving forward at least, as you can see, we are bullish, but I'd say we're slowing down more so the past 30 to 60 days. We recently had this all-time highs rejection. We are still building up higher lows. So if we can maintain above that 500, we can still push back towards the upside. But now we'd like to see more so this kind of like cup and handle form on the hourly time frame. So for AMD, we had that rejection off that all-time highs. Now we like to see if we can form this handle for this continued pushback towards the upside. As long as you can maintain above our 500, maybe form some sort of like daily flag pattern hourly flag pattern for that continued pushback towards the upside. So that's what we have for AMD. Apple, nice buyer stepping in right off that previous all-time highs. Which is solid so far. Let's see if we can get that reversal back up in towards that all-time highs. Google, similar thesis to Apple. Like to see that continuation back above. So far, buyers are stepping in nicely right off that 350. As for a few other tickers, Microsoft still showing weakness, rejecting off this 400. Be a little bit more cautious on Microsoft. Meta just kind of consolidating inside of this range. Amazon, not really too much to talk about. Netflix, similar thing. Let's talk about SpaceX. This one's been very volatile. Yesterday, we're up 4%. We end up closing close to that 200 key psych. Currently in the pre-market, we're in between kind of the previous day's range, closer to that previous day close. Key levels that I do have marked out is going to be that previous day lows along with our pre-market highs from yesterday. If we do want to see some upside above our 212 for continuation or the potential bounce play, offer 196. Rejection offer 212, we can be looking for a fade towards the downside. We're just going to base it off of key levels of support and resistance today, which is our 212 and our 196. All right, with that being said, I'm going to go quickly onto a few other tickers here today. As I mentioned, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter pre-market prep since we do have that live trading later today. It's going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys haven't signed up for that, it's going to be the first link in the description below. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the free daily watch list, that of course is in the description below here as well. Yeah, with that being said, did some of you guys join the masterclass yesterday? If you did, how'd you guys like it? The stock market, yes, it is also closed this Friday. We do have a holiday this week that is going to be Juneteenth. So the markets are closed on Friday. So today we have FOMC. Tomorrow, I do expect a little bit of volatility kind of after FOMC. It is a long weekend, so we'll see how the markets will react to the FOMC statement, which is going to be key. But yeah, with that being said, let's go into a few other tech names. MU, this one, a lot of these ones are actually having a little bit of rejection here off our all-time highs. So we're going to be a little bit more cautious. We're filling the gap back towards the downside. The main thing here is going to be the FOMC statement today, right? A lot of the semis end up having a pretty big rejection right off key levels, specifically the SMH, which as you can see, end up having that rejection off that all-time high. So a name like MU, right, rejection off that all-time highs. Now we're gonna pull back. Let's see if you can build some sort of higher low here, right, off that daily gap, right? SNDK, a little bit of rejection. INTC, similar thesis, right off that all-time highs level. WDC is still fairly bullish along with SNDK. But for MU and the rest of the tickers, the key levels that we have marked out is, let's just kind of refine some of the levels that we have. Number one, we're going to mark out that previous day lows, and we can also mark it all the way back down into that low, or sorry, that high that we created last Friday. So for MU today, we can actually refine a couple other levels here as well. We have our 1060 and we have our previous day lows. If we want to see some upside, the reclaim is in play for a push higher, or the bounce off our previous day lows for a push back towards the upside. SNDK, a lot of these trades today are going to be your previous day low bounce for a reversal trade back towards the upside. INTC, I guess some of my levels got removed. But as for INTC, the key levels, similar thing. We're going to mark out our previous day lows, which is kind of this general area where we broke out from last Friday. We're going to mark out that 118 potential previous day low bounce coming into market open for a push towards the upside. WDC is a name that is still holding up, so we'll keep an eye out on this one for continuation higher above our 690 for a push towards the upside. MBIS above our 260, and then for couple other tickers, something like Marvel showed a lot of strength, ultimately kind of rejected here on the daily time frame. Now we're more so kind of building up this kind of higher time frame wedge pattern here. So for Marvel, we needed above 300. We like to see it above our 320. That is going to be key here. So with that being said, let's just kind of quickly go over the game plan here for today. It is FOMC, which of course is going to be key. That's going to be at 2 p.m. If we're looking to take any trades beforehand, which we usually mention, be a little bit more hands off pre FOMC, the bigger moves happen after FOMC. So for today, we're going to keep an eye on that opening range. So we'll see how that first kind of 15 to 30 minutes develops here in the overall markets. Not expecting too much pre FOMC, as I mentioned. Maybe you can see a move later into the session, maybe around like 12 p.m., like just a little bit pre FOMC. But the main thing is going to happen after FOMC and, of course, tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a day where there's usually a lot of volatility the day after, unless we have like a crazy expectations. Of course, we have the new Fed share as well, which we'll talk about a little bit more. But unless something crazy happens in the markets, it's most likely going to come in line with expectations. And we're just going to kind of consolidate, and then we'll have a bigger move after FOMC and then tomorrow as well. But for the names, at least for today, right, we'll keep an eye out on our essentially that previous day low level. We do have this pretty big daily gap as well on the both SPY and the Qs. So we do have this gap fill that we could see a potential move towards the downside, maybe after FOMC, and then we can look for a higher low off our 724 for this reversal back towards the upside. Similar thing with the SPY. If the markets want to show a little bit more weakness today, then the next best area for long will be right off our previous, this daily gap for this continuation higher. At least for today, as I talked about, we'll keep an eye on that opening range, and we'll also keep an eye out on that previous day lows. As for some of the watches coming into today, we're going to be a little bit more patient. We're going to see if we can see some bounce plays on some of these semis. A lot of the tickers now are more so going to be the previous day low bounce coming to market open, like an AMD. SpaceX is something we can look to trade today, key level previous day lows, along with that 212. And then other names, right? MU reclaim back above our 1060. We have our SNDK bounce, which is still showing some strength. So previous day low bounce. INTC, it's going to be the bounce off our 118. WDC still holding up. So really the names that are holding up the most, SNDK, WDC here. So we'll keep an eye out on these tickers coming into market open. And then for everything else, as I mentioned, we're just going to be a little bit more patient coming to market open. We'll have a more in-depth game plan as well for you guys at 9 a.m. plus the live trading. So I'm going to get ready for that now. A little bit of a shorter pre-market prep, but as I talked about, we do have a live trading today. That's going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you guys are interested in joining, make sure to sign up. That's the first link in the description below. That being said, I'm going to get ready for market open here now. Got to prepare for that. And then I will see you guys all there. All right. Take care, everyone. See you guys in about 30 minutes. Peace.